And we have somebody that I love and some people love to hate, Joe Francis, the creator of Girls Gone Wild.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for coming back on. I love you. I'm going to be honest. I have the best memories with you.
I love you too, and I have the best memories of you. And I actually think, wait, did we meet? I remember with what, your parents, right? Your mom.
So
on spring break,
I was
right?
going to say no. Okay, no. So my parents weren't with me. No, but I have this. Okay, we'll get
your
into
friend's mom, right? Or was it?
So my friend's mom was there in Cancun, and we were there for spring break, and I met you in Cancun. You were so nice. I had you look hot still. I thought you were really hot back then. And I was I want to go home with him. I had a blast. But you know how that is. So I like younger guys. I'll be honest. Sometimes when I bring someone home, I don't want them to stay the night. I'm like, go, I'm done.
Yeah.
You were like, stay the night. The next day you took me out to breakfast. You were such a gentleman. Then you were like, got me a cab back. Kind of thought that was it, right? I was like, that was such a fun Mexican experience. No, we started chatting and you flew me out to Beverly Hills and you're like neighbors with Quincy Jones. Had an absolute blast. I have a funny story.
Did you have fun? Did you have fun in LA?
I had I ended up moving to LA like 10 years later. You introduced me to like the LA lifestyle and I got a taste of it. And was like, I was like, I want to do radio and move to Hollywood and do this. But so get this, I have a sweet story. So I'm in college and there's razor phones that were those skinny phones, that they fell out of my back of my pocket. Because when you said my mom, so my mom did talk to you on the phone and was like, oh, he sounds like a great guy. You should go hang out. So I lost my phone running around drunk in college. A guy picks up my razor phone and you know how there's no password protection on those razor phones. So he's just going through my phone, sees mom and dad, sees Joe Francis and calls you. And he wants to talk this drunk guy on the volleyball team in my college calls you and tells you where he found this phone and at University of the Pacific College. And you were like, oh, I think that's Stefs. I have her mom's number. You freaking called my mom. This was like 2003 and got me my phone back in college in NorCal. And I was like, how the fuck did that happen? It was just, thank you for getting me my
You're welcome.
The guy on the volleyball team was like, no way. Is this the creator of Girls Gone Wild? No way. And like freaking out. Yeah. And then, no, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, please. I want to hear your story because I love it.
And then, then Tahoe. So then it's like, oh, it'll be 2 times. No, then you're like, hey, I'm selling my house in Tahoe. And Tahoe's only 2 hours from Sacramento. So I was like, sweet. Got the yellow Benz. I had like this crazy yellow Mercedes, went up in the snow. Probably shouldn't have. Met at your Tahoe place. Had such a great time. Well, you get a limo to a casino. It's like you, me, and your friend. And you asked the limo driver to play White Snake, Here I Go Again on My Own. And we've all been drinking, all day. And we're just going, here I go again on my own in a limo, like heads out the window. We get to the casino and you're like, do you want to gamble with my money? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I don't gamble. I don't have money to gamble. So you're just like giving me your money to gamble with. And it was so, and then then I ran into you my 4th time randomly in Hollywood, unplanned. It's like some big club event and you're at a table and I was like, Joe? And I was like, do you even remember me? I think it had been 15 years at that point. And you were like, yeah. And I was like, no fucking way. Because we all meet so many people all the time. And I'm drinking at your table and then it's just no big deal. Paris Hilton comes to your table and sits down and you're like, this is my friend Paris. And I'm like, like I'm not obsessed with The Simple Life and like freaking out. So then I was just like drinking at the last time I saw you, maybe like, I don't know, like 2011 or 2012 in Hollywood, drinking at a table. And then, so then I got to get to the bad part. Then I click on the TV and it's just all shitty documentaries. I don't vibe with them. I don't understand them. This new Peacock documentary that came out without your permission. Have you seen it? And like, what do you think about it?
I did. Well, I watched it because we were going to do this interview today. And Steph, it's just, you've described me, me. You've stayed in my house. You've spent a lot of time with me, more than the reporter, the 9 hours that this reporter has spent with me, more than any other person you've probably spent with me, then appeared in this documentary because none of my friends would do it. No, none of my friends would do it.
Why didn't they get Mario Lopez? to go on the documentary.
Well, because they asked his wife, they even threatened his wife and said, if you don't go on and talk bad about Joe Francis, we're going to come after your career and we're going to say that you support women being abused.
That's horrible.
And then, and they said the same thing to Kim Kardashian. They said the same thing. This is the Peacock people. They said the same thing to Kim Kardashian. They said the same thing to Khloe Kardashian. They threatened the Jenners. They threatened every single person because all of these people, and Steph, you know what a great guy I am. I mean, I hate to say, but I really am.
To be honest, I wouldn't have done what you do now. Like when I have a new guy to my house, I'm like, it's been real. You need to stay. Can I get you anything? You were constantly like, let me feed you, taking me to nice restaurants, you know? Like I was like, oh, this is going to be a hookup. This is so fun and young and we're having a blast. And you were just a gentleman. You were such a gentleman. So and these girls on these documentaries. So first of all, I hate the Me Too movement too. I think it's a lot of girls that got older, joined a church and have a boring life and regret now having a good time. You know what I mean? There's no Me Too. It's like, no, bitch, you're just boring, Karen. You're in church and you don't like that you did Girls Gone Wild for a hat when you chose to beg to get on a bus. So that's no. So I went up with you
and signed a release. You
always had them.
But all these people, I mean, okay, go ahead. You were telling us.
Yeah, no, so I forgot too. There was a Sacramento Girls Gone Wild bus. These girls were banging on the bus to get in and begging to be on Girls Gone Wild on your show. So you've never asked me to be on your show. You've never asked me or my friends to be on your show. And all of these girls were so excited and wanted to do it for a hat or a t-shirt. Like they wanted to do. So these girls on the documentary, I think, want clout. They want some kind of fame. They want to pretend like maybe their husbands found this video and they're like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I got coerced into doing this. No, you wanted to do this. I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't agree either, because it's the idea of also you want to do something, you sign a legal contract to do something. And I hate the whole argument that people were drunk, because Steph, like nobody's drunk before the club opens. And that's when the people are beating on the bus to be on the show. So it's like, and then years later, you say you regret it and it destroyed your life, which is just bullshit. Bullshit. I mean, look, I'm sure a lot of people regret posting certain posts on Instagram. I'm sure people regret going on reality shows and signing third. I'm sure certain people regret, and everybody does that I know, what they did on the Howard Stern show for 10 years, because we all did things on there that you could be arrested for today. Yeah. And Howard did too. I mean, so it's like, these things are, it's like, but you signed releases. We signed a release to appear in the Howard Stern show. We signed, I can't say now that, that it's your fault and I regret it. And because of you, it's like, it's not like I ever met you and I met and we hung out and we were friends, but it's like, it's not like I even met these girls. It's not like, and they're saying Joe Francis should be held accountable. What for what? For your life? Because you're 20 and you sign a contract? I'm responsible somehow because of why? It's ridiculous.
You would have never let anyone too inebriated to be on the show. And I don't think people understand, at least towards the mid of, the height of Girls Gone Wild, you weren't even at all of the events and you're not doing casting or camera or anything like that. You're just the brains behind this multi-million-dollar company. It's not like you're pulling girls in to do this stuff. So
exactly,
and so I know with your name on it. What was, do you think, the height of Girls Gone Wild or the height of your career?
Well, I would hate to see the height of Girls Gone Wild. Let's take my career and put that separately, because I do have a documentary coming out on Netflix that I am authorizing. And Steph, I would love to have you in it, by the way.
I have a lot of great things, like I said, to say about you, and only positive times. So I am always down. Love it.
And you've been to so many different, aspects. You've been to the spring break, and then you've been to the show in Sacktown, and you've been to the shows, in also my personal life. But I would love to have you, involved. But it's just, they take no responsibility. But look, the Netflix show, that'll give us our chance to really tell the story. We've been waiting. We've got these 4 documentaries now unauthorized out the door, and all they do is say the same thing, regurgitated BS. Yeah. Like my ex's attorney is on everyone saying what a bad person I am. And it's like, all these people that have never met me are calling me an asshole. I'm like, well, like anybody who's ever met me, it's like, Steph, I think the last thing that you would call me is an asshole, right? Or no? I
Not
don't
at
know.
all. Like you were saying,
You met
like
a lot of assholes, I'm sure.
I've partied with rock stars. I've toured with
Yeah.
Slipknot. I've toured with a lot of
Yeah.
bands. So I've met a lot of people, and I'm used to kind of a brash, cutthroat personality. And you were kind. You were really gentle. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. and being like, I'm kind of hungry. And you're like, well, should we call something? What do you want? Do you want to go through my fridge? You were just like the nicest, most laid back person that wasn't pretentious. It wasn't like, oh, look at me, I have all this money. You felt very guy next door
Yeah.
when I hung out
And
with you.
I haven't changed at all. So
Yeah.
I'm still that way today.
And that's it was hard. Like, I'm glad I brought you on, this new podcast. It's cool. Not only am I doing a morning show, I just started a podcast, and it was great to have you by. I was bummed to hear that there was legal issues with your kids, and it sounds like you have a shitty ex-wife. And then I'm just kind of sick of it, and I'm not even you, so I know you've got to be really sick of it, of this notion that you're this bad guy.
I
And that
know.
people are making this up.
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it because, and now in the Peacock documentary and the other the HBO documentary, this girl, she went to the police but didn't press charges. Now in this one, she doesn't appear because my lawyer sent her a letter saying, you open your mouth and say that Joe raped you and you're going down for $100 million. And she doesn't appear now. And now it says that it didn't exist. It didn't happen. There was no rape. That she dropped the charges. Now, that's not what happened. She pressed the charges. Now, let's tell the story. She pressed the charges for rape. But as you know, Steph, you've been on the buses. We have cameras everywhere.
Yes.
So it went to, and this district attorney in Chicago, a female, had campaigned for the last 6 months and just got elected that she will go after sex crimes, sex offenders. This was her whole thing. And she had got this beautiful rape accusation by me, cover of the Chicago Tribune, cover of the LA Times. Immediately, the prosecutor takes it to a grand jury. And I say to my lawyer, I say, send them all the tapes. And they go, and they're like, are you sure you want to give them things? I'm like, yeah, send them everything.
You got nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. Grand jury watches the tapes. Now, a grand jury, Steph, I don't know if you've heard this, but they'll indict a ham sandwich, right?
Yeah.
They indicted Donald Trump plenty, right?
Yeah,
So,
over ridiculous stuff, which was
they'll indict a ham sandwich because all you hear in a grand jury is one side of the argument, right? You just hear the prosecutor's version of whatever. So you only get to hear the accusation. Now, normally they don't submit evidence, but we submitted evidence to the prosecutor and said, well, you have to play this. So once it was in her hand, the tapes, they had to play it for the grand jury. And you know what happened, Steph? I was acquitted. And that's what they're and by a grand jury who would indict a ham sandwich where you have about less than a 1% chance of not getting indicted. They acquitted me. So I cannot be legally accused of this, charged with this, and they're so afraid to tell the truth. Like, what's wrong with the truth? That's the truth, that she lied. And they're so afraid because they want to have this narrative and make me out to be somebody who I'm not, because it's easy, right? It's easy. And let's be honest, like, you probably thought before you knew me, Steph, you probably thought, oh, this guy has a lot of money. He's probably a dick. He's probably, whatever. Like you said in the beginning, like, you didn't know.
Well, no, I didn't have pre-notions because I think I was too young and I hadn't lived in Hollywood. So I actually realized later in life, living in Hollywood, how nice you were to me at such a young age, because I was just like, oh, I'm kind of naive. I didn't know anything about you. And you were my first well-known person. Also, side note, back to that chick and every other chick. Why would you need to rape anybody? I saw hundreds of girls coming like begging. Like, they were clawing in Cancun when I was trying to meet you. They were like clawing to get to you at your table to like. So also I felt like this chosen one, like the claw machine that comes down in Toy Story. I was like, oh, I got chosen. And you know what fucking really blows my mind is these girls' dads that come on and they're like, we don't fucking like him. Bitch, you're fucking up as a dad if your kid is on Girls Gone Wild. I'm sorry, like, maybe you're just not a good parent. Why are you blaming the guy that made a great company that gave women a voice to show their tits and gave guys, also there's guys gone wild, people forget about that, to get naked, that wanted to get naked. So everybody got the chance to go on camera and do their thing. So they're coming after you too as a person. Like, it's not this massive company. And you know what? Is there maybe a bad egg in every company? There could be a bad cop by accident in a police station. There could have been one bad camera guy at one point that maybe said something, but who knows? Like, there's just nothing's a well-oiled machine. But
exactly.
you know what I mean? It's you
Yeah,
didn't
I
go
know
out of your way to do anything
and
wrong.
it's like, look, Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, is not personally responsible because one of his delivery guys peed on someone's lawn. Okay.
100%.
Now, those people work for Amazon and Jeff Bezos. It's different with cameramen for Girls Gone Wild. We never employed a cameraman. Cameramen were all independent contractors with their own companies where we licensed the footage. Now, we provided the swag, we provided the contracts, we provided we didn't provide any equipment, we didn't provide anything because they were independent. So they didn't even work for us. And I'm getting dragged into all their stuff and all their convoluted story of mismanagement. Like, my policies were always clear. You were there, you saw, like, and my
the
people
contract and the pins were out at all times. You made sure everything was filled out and signed, and everyone was having to be sober enough to fill out the contract to say, yes, I want to appear on this. There was just it looks fun, right? When you watch the DVDs, they're like, woo, with their tops, but there's behind the camera, you got everyone's permission legally.
Yeah. And then plus, it's not only that. When that ID gets back and that footage gets back to Los Angeles, it then goes through a federal monitor. Luckily, everything I know that I've done went through the federal judiciary system because in 2000 or 2001, they tried to charge us with obscenity. So for 15, 20 years, we had to have somebody from the federal government checking every video before it went out. So everything was US government certified by a federal judge, signed off on, that was ever released after 2001. So I liked having that federal monitor, and I did have say if they had a question about taking anything out ever, that I could make a judgment call. But I never, Steph, not one time did I said, I'll go with whatever the monitor says, because I don't care. There's plenty of girls that want to be in. If there's a gray area, no, don't do it. It's not worth it. So like that ID would go back to LA. Then that ID had to be real. So there was a private investigation firm in every single state, and they would investigate that ID. Wow. They would make sure it's that person. They would get a copy of the actual ID, and then they would do an investigation report. In order to make the video, all of those things are required. I still have DVDs of all of those records. Because I
didn't know legally. You went over and beyond for safety purposes to make sure everyone was of legal age and checked IDs. That's incredible.
We even had machines that they would run like bouncers to see if the IDs are real right off. So it doesn't get to the point where it goes back to Los Angeles and then gets rejected. Yeah. But if somebody did, then, we caught it every time. So
gosh, you guys had a checks and balance in place. Everything was legit. Last time you came on the podcast, I found out you're in Mexico. You've always loved Mexico. That's been like one of your spots. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that I didn't even know you dated Kourtney Kardashian. So I was like, sweet, that's your sister with Kourtney Kardashian winning. And you were close with the Kardashians. You guys grew up, you let them stay at your place in Mexico, and it was filmed on the Kardashian shows and everything. And then I saw Mario Lopez just recently came down to visit you. And what were you guys doing? It was like a Miss America or Miss Universe pageant.
Yeah, he hosted the Miss Universe pageant. I went to see him actually, and that was really fun. Actually,
I bet, was there a lot of hot girls? Did they want to be on Girls Gone Wild? No, I'm just kidding.
A lot of hot girls, yeah. But they wanted to be Miss Universe. They didn't want to be on Girls Gone Wild, and that was great. They were stunning.
Yeah,
that's 125.
A clip, and I was like, "Well, you could pick one out. You could pick 2 or 3 out, probably."
Yeah, probably right.
They're good looking. Okay. Do you have like a favorite charity? I was just curious, and like a charity that you've donated to in the past or kind of worked with.
I do.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Well, I like company-wise. I like the Red Cross because it's non-religious and has no religious affiliation. And then I have dabbled in many other charities, but I highly suggest supporting Red Cross because there's no religious affiliation. I just don't believe that donating money and religion should be intertwined.
Yeah, no correlation. Why do you think people have such a bad image of you or a poor image of you? Why do you feel that that's happened?
Well, it's the media, not you, but it's the media because it's so, I mean, like my sister said this the other day after my dad died, unfortunately.
I'm
But
sorry, by the
no,
way.
thank
I'm
you.
really
No,
sorry.
thank you. He was a good man. Good man, passed last week. Look, my sister said this. She was like, "Look, you're just an easy target. Like, think about this stuff. Like, I mean, wait, how old were you when we met? Like, you were 20?
I was 18.
Oh, you were 18.
I was 18
You were 18.
though.
You're
I was
18.
legal. I was at my
You're
prime.
legal.
I'm not gonna lie. I was
You're
like, you know what? You don't know you're hot, and you look back at photos. I'm like, damn, I had a 6-pack and shit. Like, God, I wish I looked like that. No.
Wait, did you ever do Girls Gone Wild? I forgot. I don't. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, it was
And we
cute.
never
We met.
pressured you,
No,
right?
and I joked,
mean,
I said, I kind of want to do it on our sex. So we hung out when I was 18, then when I was 21, then when I was 23, then when I was 25. So we've hung
yeah.
out at all different times. And I said, I kind of thought about doing it when I was like 20 or 21 and we hung out. And you said, no, I don't want you to do it. I want you to. I was like, okay. So you even were like, that's,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay. So
Well,
I
at that
felt the opposite
point, yeah,
pressure.
it's like, yeah, just because you had other goals too and other things, and just I didn't want you in the documentary 10
No,
years.
right? No. And I was like, that's funny. I wish they reached out to me, but like I didn't have podcasts on the internet with you. And so I was like, I want to be more vocal that it's so long ago, but I had so many great experiences in so many different cities with you. And I want more people like me being vocal of like, hey, I've had a great time. And Joe has gone out of his way to make me feel safe, to pick me up to airports, to drop me off to airports. You would sit and have these very long intellectual conversations that fascinated me and just kind of blew my mind of how you started your business. And I don't know. And like everyone you knew was foreign to me at that time. And now I'm in the rock industry hard and in radio, but it's still, it was an unknown world to me that you were very soft with. You weren't like bragging, like, this is what I do or something. You're just like, well, Quincy Jones might come by. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's nuts. Which he just passed away too. I'm sure that was kind
I
of.
know, I know. I'm afraid of the third person because they say people die in threes. I know, because Quincy was like a brother and a father to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks. And
I'm
you know how
sorry.
close I was with Quincy. I mean,
Yeah.
you met Quincy at my house, or
Yeah, he like came by just real quick,
yeah.
like you're like Quincy Jones is gonna pop by, and you said it like it was a neighbor that's just a normal guy, running
Well,
the
yeah,
voice.
it was Quincy, me, and Elon Musk lived on that street. We own the
I
only
didn't know
private street
Elon
in Bel
Musk
Air.
was your neighbor.
Was my next door neighbor, Steph, and I bought the first Tesla for $100,000 in cash ever in 2004, and then he delivered it in 2008.
That's
100,000 in
so
cash. Now
sick.
I should have bought the stock when it, didn't exist. I shouldn't have bought the car, but I got Tesla
Yeah,
one, and he delivered it personally to Elon. Yeah, so
dude,
he
that's
was.
badass. That's so
So
bad.
Quincy owned the two houses. So it was one, two, three, four houses. We own the only private street in Bel Air. Is me, Elon, and Quincy, and we had the extra gate, and then we had all our gates. And yeah, I mean, we were all. I mean, Elon and I were best friends. Quincy and I were best friends. So
It was just like a
um,
massive house. I just remember, like, just insane. And then you had like a really cool assistant bodyguard guy. Was he bald? I don't know. And like he just did everything. He was really cool. I can't remember his name because it was
oh,
so.
Victor.
Was it? He's like a
Yeah.
bald
Oh,
white guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're all bald. For some reason, all
Oh,
my bodyguards are all bald, so I can't remember, right? But yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
What
don't know what
happened? Wait,
happens. You become a
wait,
bodyguard and you lose all your hair. I don't know.
you get
You
too,
shave your
yeah,
head. I don't know.
you're stressed out all the time trying to protect the person. What I was like, fuck, what happened on your
Steph, but you
Instagram?
seem to have
Yeah.
just got right through. They didn't protect me at all. Like
I was like, I'm getting to Joe now. No, yeah. I was
well,
like,
when I remember that when we met, because we were taking a break from a long day of filming, we were just like, everybody's just like, we need to sit down. Because in those days, the cameras were a lot heavier too.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
massive. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the break. And then like we had some margaritas. It was just like, I don't know, it was just really fun. And like I said too, there was never any pressure for me to drink or do drugs or do anything. I was always like a little bit of a good girl until later on in life. I hadn't experimented with anything. And you never opened up that to me like I think a lot of rock stars have in my life. And so it's wild to me when I see these documentaries. I was like, man, I had a much softer version of Joe Francis than what these people are saying. I mean, I would have liked my hair pulled. I would have liked it a little rough, maybe, but I didn't get that. I'm saying I got.
Well,
you were like kind of romantic.
I know. Well, the interesting thing about that, the hair pulling thing, I'm the victim. Google it. Joe Francis, Jade Nicole. I'm the victim of the crime. That's what the district attorney says. Now, they try to make it like I'm the perpetrator pulling somebody's hair. That's a lie. Google it. Google.
Oh my God.
District attorney, Jade Nicole. Joe Francis, victim of her unprovoked assault. Victim Francis. Everything says by the district attorney, victim Francis. And all I did when she hit me with a glass and broke a glass on the back of my neck and stabbed me with it, and I started to bleed. I turned around as any natural person would have said, and this is what the district attorney told me personally. He said, "You're the victim. Do you want to press charges?" And Brody ended up. So I turned around and grabbed whatever, just like Donald Trump getting shot in the ear. You have a natural reaction, to getting hurt.
Yeah.
So to getting cut.
And you're getting attacked with glass, with a violent
glass in my neck. And that's all I did. And after all the investigation, all the thing, I ended up suing Brody Jenner. The Kardashians and the Jenners sided with me. Brody then issued an apology to me. Like, have you read that? Or you can Google.
I haven't read all that. Holy
Google
shit.
Brody Jenner apology to Joe Francis, and he admits, "You never hit. I made up all these things on Twitter." And to be honest, that stuff is your reputation. And then your ex saying all this bullshit about, he molested kids. He's addicted to crystal meth. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I know you're trying to get more money. I know you're trying to but it's like, shut up, like you're a liar. Like, it's like.
I just heard that story on the documentary. I was like, I'm jealous. He never pulled my hair. He pulled my hair, but he didn't. You were like missionary romantic guy. Like
I am.
You are.
I am. I'm a romantic.
You really. I'm saying you weren't like a doggy style flip over crazy hard whips and chains. Nobody got hurt. You're very like you have a sweeter side that I think more people need to understand.
Exactly. But it's not like I have a sweeter side. I am that person.
Yeah.
The media through all this bullshit has a bunch of people, and they put a bunch of people that don't know me that presumably hate me because they have different angles or have never met me. And they put them on some piece of shit documentary that's supposed to be about me. And then they take a print interview that I did 3 years ago. And then they try to make that like my statement and take it all out of context. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think the Netflix thing, Steph, will show them, who I am. And that's all. Look, the producers want to do because they're like, I've never met anyone, Joe, that's met you in person and didn't like you, and thought anything like this. So.
Yeah. Because I posted a photo of us on TikTok recently and I said, hey, he's going to come by on my podcast. And some girl wrote, oh, he's a really bad person. You shouldn't have him by your podcast. So I wrote back and said, oh, why? What happened? And she goes, I've never met him. This is just what I've heard. And I'm like, you guys got to stop that. That's what I wrote back. You need to make sure you know somebody and you've met them personally. I know I've had a couple of my friends around me when you came up to Sacramento on the bus and they had such a great time with you. And I don't know, you all just, nobody wound up on Girls Gone Wild. Nobody was crazy, intoxicated. No one was yelling and screaming. We all just had like a very chill, relaxing night. And I don't know. Okay, no more bad. No more negative. I hate negative talk. Okay, yeah, what is your favorite memory? Like go back and you're just like, wow, like that, you're right. Your career is going to get higher and higher. You've got other things going on. But I'd say like with your franchise, the explosion of Girls Gone Wild, you've got the plane, you're on all these TV programs. What's like one of your favorite memories?
Oh, I mean, all of it. I mean, I loved all of it because, I mean, you think I'm crazy because I loved a lot of the business aspects of it. I loved hitting $1 million in one day in sales because you know me, I'm more of a business guy anyways. Like, yes, I'm great on camera. So they put me on camera and I'm great as a host, but like behind the scenes, I was running a multi-billion $1 million business. And, it's all of those things, the planes and the helicopters, and those things don't just magically appear. There has to be something behind it that's driving that. And that was the business. And if you ask me, my best memories, it's running a 500-person company at age 24 and just feeling the pulse and just being able to produce that amount of production and money. And, just watching trucks on monitors in my office coming in the warehouse from the duplicator Technicolor in the 90s, and then leaving the warehouse the same day from UPS or the post office, truckloads of product. So those things were very exciting for me to see millions, and just the explosion. So yeah, that was the peak, for me.
That's what I think. I want more people to comprehend that you're an intelligent guy and you're the brains behind a very successful business, that it doesn't matter if maybe someone's a little bit more of a prude or gets offended easily on what the business model is. Let's look at just the structure of the business and how well it grew. And on paper, where you took an idea that there was a hole, there was nothing going on for that. And you also just launched the late night infomercials. You launched this culture of frat guys and wanting to watch this, and us waking up and us having our hand on the remote in case our parents walked in, because we were watching the Girls Gone Wild late night infomercial and loving it because it's so exciting and neat. And like, you just don't get credit, I feel, enough for such a unique, popular business model that you created.
Yeah. And then Amazon copied it. Think about who copied it. I mean, come on. Netflix copied it. Netflix, when we were doing business with Netflix in the 90s, it wasn't, Girls Gone Wild. They were buying Girls Gone Wild on spools. They weren't, doing negative option continuity. And then all the streamers, everybody came out and copied our business model. And I mean, that's what we invented, really.
I didn't even think about that. The sending the DVDs out through mail. And that's how Netflix started. You guys were doing that before other people were doing it.
And charging the monthly subscription if you wanted to receive it every month. So those things, and then that's what Amazon does with Prime and things like that. It's like all these people have come and done the same thing, really. Are subscribed and saved. Yeah, really. It was.
Yeah, that's badass. Well,
yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for seriously stopping by again, because I love you. I wanted to have a positive, online podcast with you, and I will totally do any documentary about you.
Yeah.
And I want to tell positive, past stories.
Hey, so. I just want the truth. Like, I'm not asking anyone to lie. I mean, they've already done a great job about lying about me already. So on all this other BS that we've seen on Peacock, HBO, all these.
And I've asked you to come by my show. I want to make that out there, too. You didn't contact me and say, hey, can you talk? No, I really wanted to have you by and say, hey, I've had like 5 great trips where I just felt really safe. I felt really cared about. I don't know. I just felt like, oh, what a nice guy. I want to hang out with him again. I don't feel like all these other women on the documentaries have talked. I don't even think they know you. I don't even think.
Well, they don't even know me. They've never met me. And like, it's just an opportunity to, like you said in the beginning, like to say to your husband, oh, I didn't want to do it. Yeah, look. Oh,
yeah.
Here, look, I can say that now, and I can blame some
20 years ago. It's fun. And you know what? I'm the opposite. So I don't like girls that can't be honest and open about their sexuality and themselves. I think it's great. I'm very sex positive. I want to be like, if you want to hook up, go hook up. Or if you did sex work back in the day, right on, be proud about it. I don't like it when people want to feel shameful or bad about it, or then flip the script that a guy did something when I'm like, no, you drank and snuck on a band's tour bus. What did you think was going to happen when you went on that band's tour bus by yourself with the band? And so I'm always on the team, like the side of the band, because these women are putting themselves in positions and begging to hook up with these rock stars. And then later their significant other finds out, or their friends find out and tease them. And they flip the script of, oh, I was taken advantage of. And I was like, you begged to get on a tour bus. How what do you think's going to happen when you beg to get in a hotel room in a tour bus with a band? I don't know. Like, what anyone in their right mind would be like, something wild's going to probably go down. They're wanting to hook up with me. So,
well, if it was a Girls Gone Wild bus, nothing would, and you know that. You've been on a Girls Gone Wild. We were we had cameras everywhere covering every inch to make sure for compliance, and that those would feed back to Los Angeles. So, you know, those were being recorded and monitored remotely to make sure there was no hijinks and drinking and those types of things on the bus. But, you know,
you guys were not Rockstar bus. It wasn't. It was not like the Rockstar buses I've been on. Those were crazy. The Girls Gone Wild bus had like a nice cozy couch. We were like listening to some chill music, having a couple drinks. It actually was much more calm than like Motley Crue's bus. That was wild.
I know Tommy.
Yeah,
I Tommy for a while. So yeah, no, I imagine. I love Tommy too. Yeah.
Well, I love you, Joe, and I'm glad
love
we
you
got
too,
to catch
sweetie.
up. And let me know if you ever need anything, or you know, if
Thank
you
you,
ever come back to NorCal. I'm here for you.
I will. Thank you, and I appreciate you being in my documentary.